Let Us Be Muslim by Sayyid Abul Mawdudi, edited by the late brother Khurram Murad. May Allah bless the soul. Chapter 9. Are we true Muslims? Brothers in Islam, who are true Muslims? Let us see what Allah and His Messenger have to say about their lives and hearts. Say, my prayers and my sacrifices and my living and my dying are for God alone, the Lord of all the worlds. No partner has He. Thus I have commanded, and I am foremost among those who surrender themselves unto Him. Surah Al-An'am, Ayat 163 to Ayat 164. The same theme is elucidated by the Prophet, blessing and peace be on him. One who loves for the sake of Allah alone and hates for the sake of Allah alone, and whatever he gives for the sake of Allah alone, and whatever he withholds for the sake of Allah alone. Indeed, he perfects his iman. By Abu Dawud, a tradition by Abu Dawud. The Quran makes clear what Allah demands of you. You should devote yourself wholly to the service of Allah. You should live for Him alone. You should die for Him alone. You and the world around you entirely belong to Allah. Let nobody have a share in what belongs to Allah. That is to say, you should not serve anyone but Him, nor live or die for anyone but Him. The Prophet, blessing and peace be on him, explains what the Quran has said. To be a true believer, your love and enmity for everything, all your affections, all relations and transactions in your life should have only one purpose: to seek Allah's pleasure. Without this, your iman itself will not be complete. The possibility of rising higher in the sight of God does not arise. The greater the deficiency in this respect, the more defective the iman. Some people think that these qualities are required only to reach higher spiritual stations and not essential to iman and Islam. In other words, even without these qualities, a Muslim can be a good Muslim and a mu'min. This mistaken notion has arisen because people in general do not differentiate between legal Islam and true Islam, which alone is truly authentic in the sight of Allah. Two types of Islam. Legal Islam. Under legal Islam, on which juries and states must base their dealings, what lies in your hearts and mind is not taken into account, nor can it be. Your verbal affirmation and those essential signs which must flow out of that affirmation are accepted as sufficient evidence of your Islam. Anyone who affirms by word or mouth belief in Allah, the Messenger, the Quran, the hereafter, and other articles of faith, and who has also fulfills those necessary conditions which provide proof of his affirmation, is considered part of Muslim society, and all dealings with him are to be conducted with as a Muslim. This definition provides the legal and cultural basis on which Muslim society is organized. Its purpose is no more than that all those who enter into the Muslim Ummah are recognized as Muslims. Nobody from among them can be called a kafir. Every one of them must have the same mutual, legal, moral, and social rights. They should be entitled to marry among Muslims. They should be eligible to receive their share in inheritance or other civil relations should be established with them. Through Islam. However, in the worlds to come, you cannot be judged as a Muslim and a mu'min on the basis of this legal affirmation, nor on this basis will God accept you as one of His chosen servants. What will count then is having faith in hearts and willingly and wholly submitting lives to God. Whatever is verbally affirmed is meant for courts and for the common man and the Muslim society. For they can only see the exterior, but Allah sees deep into your hearts and knows precisely the degree of your iman. How will He judge a man? Allah will see whether he lived and died for Him alone, whether his loyalties to Him superseded all other loyalties, whether his obedience and his service, indeed his entire life, were devoted only to Him. If they were solely for Allah, then He will be a judge, a mu'min and a Muslim. But if they were for someone else, then he will not be judged a Muslim nor a mu'min. Whoever falls short of this criterion will, to the extent he falls short, be lacking in Iman and Islam, irrespective of how important a Muslim in the world may judge him and of any high positions he may hold. With Allah, only one thing matters: whether or not you have given away in His way all that. Whether or not you have given away in His way all that He had given to you. If you have, you will be granted the reward which is reserved for those who are loyal and render the service that is due. But if your admission has been less than total, if you spare any part of your life from His service, your claim to be Muslims, which implies that you have wholly given up yourself to God, will be a deceptive claim. Although you may be able to mislead the world and persuade the Muslim society to grant you its membership and all the rights of Muslim, God cannot be deceived into assigning a place for you amongst His faithful. Reflect on the difference between legal Islam and true Islam, and you can see that your consequences will vary greatly, not only in the hereafter, but also in this world. The life pursuits, character and disposition of a true Muslim will be totally different from one who merely parades the outward trappings of faith. You will always encounter these two types of Muslims. Two kinds of Muslims. Partial Muslims. Some Muslims profess faith in God and the Messenger and declare Islam as their religion, but then they confine this Islam to only a part of their lives. To the extent of this part, they express great attachment to Islam, extensively perform worship rituals like prayers, use of the rosary, remembrances of God's name. They are very particular in conforming to outward piety in matters like food, rest, and other external, social, cultural customs. Thus, they are fully religious. But beyond these conventions, their lives are not ruled by God. If they live for the sake of their own selves, their country, their nation, or for anything else, but not for Allah. If they become displeased, are angry, hate someone, make enemies or wage war, it too is for the sake of some worldly or selfish interests. Their relation with their businesses, their wives and children, families, societies, will all be to a great extent unaffected by Islam and based on secular considerations. As landlords, traders, rulers, soldiers, professional people in all spheres, they will behave as if they are autonomous, having no connection with their position as Muslims. When such people establish cultural, educational, and political norms and institutions, these have nothing to do with Islam, even though they may seem Islamic. True Muslims. The second kind of Muslims are those who completely merge their personalities and existences into Islam. All the roles they have become subordinates to the one role of being Muslims. They live as Muslim when they live as fathers, sons, husbands or wives, businessmen, landlords, laborers and employers. Their feelings, their desires, their ideologies, their thoughts and opinions, their likes and dislikes, all are shaped by Islam. Allah's guidance holds complete sway over their hearts and minds, their eyes and ears, their bellies, their sexual desires, their hands and feet, their bodies and soul. Neither their loves nor their hatreds are formed independently of Islamic criteria. Whether they fight or make friends, it is purely for the sake of Islam. If they give anything to anybody, it is because Islam requires it to be given. If they withhold anything from anybody, it is because Islam wants it to be withheld. And this attitude of theirs is not limited to personal lives. Their public lives, their society are all based entirely on Islam. Their collectivity exists for Islam alone. Their collective behavior is governed by the precepts of Islam alone. What kind of Muslims God desires? The above two kinds of Muslims are significantly different from each other, even if legally both are included in the Ummah and the word Muslim is applied to both equally. Historically, the first kind of Muslims have made no achievement which may be worthy of mention or which merit our being proud of it. Nothing these Muslims have done has left an Islamic imprint on the pages of world history. The world has received no benefit from their existence. Indeed, Islam has suffered decay because of them. Because of the preponderance of such Muslims in Muslim society, power and world leadership largely pass into the hands of rebels against God. For this Muslim must have content merely with ensuring that they enjoy the freedom to live religiously without the narrow confines of their private lives. Within the narrow confines of their private lives. God never desired to have such Muslims, nor did He send His prophets or reveal His books to create them. Indeed, it is the second time Muslims who are desired by God. Only they can ever accomplish anything worthwhile from the Islamic point of view. Supreme loyalty to Allah. This is not a phenomenon peculiar to Islam. In fact, no way of life can ever prevail in the world if its followers accord their faith and commitment a subordinate position in their lives, or if they live and die for causes other than their faith. We see even today that only those are considered real and true followers of a creed or ideology who are loyal to it with their hearts and soul. Every creed in the world desires such adherence, and no creed can prevail in the world except through such followers. However, there is an important difference between Islam and other creeds and ideologies. Although others demand from men total loyalty and dedication, they in fact have no such right upon him. Their claims are entirely unjustified. The objects they place before men are not the kind of objects for which a human being should sacrifice anything. But the God for whom Islam demands the sacrifice of life has a right upon us. Everything must be given in His way, for whatever exists in heaven and on earth belongs to Allah. Man himself, whatever he possesses, and whatever lies within him, all belong to Allah. It is therefore in perfect harmony with justice as well as reasons that whatever belongs to Allah must be reserved only for Him. Whatever sacrifice man makes for others or for his own benefit or to gratify the desire is indeed a breach of trust, unless it be with the permission of Allah. And whatever sacrifice is made for Allah is in reality a payment of what is due. But what lessons Muslims must learn from those who are sacrificing everything for the sake of their false ideologies and false God? How strange it is that while such unimaginable dedication, sacrifice and fidelity is being shown for false God, not even 1,000 part of it is shown for the true God by those who profess faith in them. Where do we stand? Let us examine our lives by the crucial criteria of Iman and Islam as laid down by the Quran and the Prophet. Blessing and peace be on him. If you claim that you have accepted Islam, have you orientated your living and your dying towards God alone? Are you living for His cause alone? Are your hearts and minds, your bodies and souls, your time and efforts being devoted to the fulfillment of Allah's wishes? Is that mission been accomplished through you which He wants to be fulfilled by the Muslim Ummah? And again, do you obey and serve only God? Have you eliminated from your lives subservience to selfish desires and obedience to family, brotherhood, friends, society and state? Have you made your likes and dislikes totally subordinate to the wishes of Allah? If you love somebody, is it really for the sake of Allah? If you dislike somebody, is that too for the sake of Allah? Is no element of selfishness involved in this? Do you give and withhold only for the sake of Allah? Are you spending on your own self and giving wealth to other people, or withholding the same because this is what God wants? Is your motive nothing but to gain His pleasure? You find such a state of faith and submission within yourself, you should thank God that He has bestowed upon you the blessing of Iman in its fullness. And if you feel any deficiency, you must give up every other concern and worry and concentrate wholly on remedying this deficiency. For on its removals depends your well-being in this world as well as your success in the hereafter. Whatever success you may enjoy in the present life will not compensate you for the loss you will suffer in the hereafter due to this deficiency. But if you make up for this deficiency, even if you gain nothing in this world, you will benefit immensely in the life to come. Do not use this criterion to test or judge others and determine whether they are mu'min or hypocrites and Muslims or kafir. Use it only to judge your own selves, and if you detect any deficiency, try to remove it before you meet Allah. How a mufti, a religious jurist, or a court judges you should be of least concern to you. It is only the judgment of the supreme ruler and knower of the seen and the unseen which matters. Do not become happy merely on seeing your names registered as Muslims, but remain anxious about how and where your names are entered in the register of God. Real success consists in your being judged as mu'mins and not hypocrites, obedient and not disobedient, faithful and not unfaithful by that God who is the final judge. Subhanallah, walhamdulillah, wa la ilaha illallah, wallahu akbar, wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billahil aliyyil azim, wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billahil aliyyil azim, wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billahil aliyyil azim.